I'm up and running. Live on my Facebook here, J-Dubs. Everything was good on my personal Facebook with Today Mañana.
Yeah.
Good. Like and share the show, viewers and listeners. We're going to start the program in a matter of moments. I'll ask you this question. Live on YouTube, J-Dubs. Is it intriguing to anyone that the commercial tax base in Charlottesville is shrinking? In Albemarle County is shrinking, despite the population upticking? What does that say to you, Judah? And you can think about that as we go live on air. The commercial tax base from 2015 until 2025 has shrunk from 15% to 11%. This according to Albemarle County Executive Jeff Richardson. He runs the county. He's the top executive in the county. The population has grown, however, from 105,000 in Albemarle County in 2015 to 117,000 plus in 2024. Why is the commercial base shrinking while the population is upticking? We'll talk about that on today's show. Is it technology? Is it artificial intelligence and technology and screens replacing labor and making commercial business less tied to certain locations? A good example of this, we read a story about Major League Baseball considering robot umpires in the year, was it 2027?
Yep, coming right up.
Artificial intelligence is going to call balls and strikes for the nation's pastime. That seems like a oxymoron.
I mean,
As the next thing for the nation's pastime, for America, for Americana, cherry pie is now going to be artificial intelligence cherries and crusts?
I mean,
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Lot to cover on the program. Like and share the show, guys. Monumental game tomorrow in Scott Stadium. Florida State, University of Virginia. National televised ball game. We'll talk about that today. We have some data points for biotechnology and the impact it's having in the community. Eli Lilly on record, 650 new jobs tied to the Goochland headquarters. So much to cover on the water cooler of conversation, including a new strategic partner for the I Love CVille network. The show's moving and shaking. Viewers and listeners, like and share the show. Judah, you ready to rock and roll?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we can get this party started. We get this party started right when you're ready.
Quite on set.
Met some fans this morning, did we not, Judah?
Yeah. Giving us some props. It's always nice. Good to hear.
Welcome to the I Love CVille show, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. Thursday afternoon in downtown Charlottesville in our building, the Macklin building, our studio at storefront level. We like to say we're right in the heartbeat of the region. I mean, we're at storefront level next to the police department, across from Court Square, a block off the downtown mall, right next to the finance firms and the hedge funds. 2 blocks, you think, from City Hall, J-Dubs? 2 blocks from City Hall?
Yeah, give or take.
Literally the heartbeat. And there's few things I like, ladies and gentlemen, than from my vantage point here, just watching the world go by in downtown Charlottesville. We see folks from all walks of life. From the clapping man, the houseless guy that's the clapping man that's clapping hysterically while walking down the downtown mall, to the guy that's carrying the cane or the staff while walking down the downtown mall, to the guy slamming the bucket looking for donations, for making music while banging a Lowe's bucket while people are trying to enjoy a $100 meal in downtown Charlottesville. All walks of life. to the C-suite, the judges, the bankers, the lawyers, and we just have our little perch and we like to talk about it, what we see on the program. Today's show embodies those qualities. I'm going to ask you some important questions, folks. Explain to me, and I'll ask Judah this question, why the commercial tax base in Albemarle County has dropped, ladies and gentlemen, from 15% of Albemarle County's tax base in 2015 to just 11% in 2025. And explain to me how that happens when Albemarle County's population upticks from 105,000 people in 2017 to 117,000 plus people today. How does the commercial tax base have such a sizable downward trend when the humans, the body count living in Albemarle County has upticked? And what's the burden that places on you and I? The homes we own, the apartments, condos, and houses we lease. We'll unpack that conversation today on the water cooler of conversation and content in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, the I Love CVille show. We'll talk on today's program. We're starting to get some tangible numbers, folks. And Eli Lilly, the publicly traded biotechnology company, has said, look, we're going to spend $5 billion, $5 billion with the B, building a headquarters and a facility in Goochland County. And this headquarters is, boy, oh boy, going to create a lot of jobs, ladies and gentlemen. 650 new jobs. Remember, AstraZeneca is also building a multi-billion-dollar facility in the area, another biotechnology publicly traded company. They're going to spend at least what Eli Lilly's doing, but they're going to do theirs in Albemarle County. So at the same time, a couple of projects coming online while the Paul Manning Biotech Institute on Fontaine's being birthed. AstraZeneca, you got to think hundreds of new jobs, maybe 650 just like Eli Lilly. We'll unpack that on today's show. We got some data points from Albemarle County. The life sciences category, think biotechnology. Albemarle County calls it life sciences. The life sciences category generated $269 million in revenue for Albemarle County in 2024. $269 million. Boy, oh boy, is that number going to uptick, Judah, with this Paul Manning Institute and AstraZeneca and Eli Lilly coming online. And you already got the executive director of the Paul Manning Biotech Institute. He used to be a vice president at AstraZeneca, and he's already literally using his megaphone and his platform, the credibility that goes with the executive director title, saying there's going to be a boatload of new businesses that are riding the supply chain and the coattails of what we're doing here, and they're going to call this area home. So today's program is this Venn diagram, this dynamic of tax base and incremental revenue and job creation in this coveted community we live within called Albemarle County, where people want to move to and they want to invest billions of dollars and create new jobs because they see what we see, quality of life, places to raise kids, to start businesses, to have generational impacts. We'll talk about that on today's program. And goodness gracious, I have to highlight tomorrow's football game, don't I? Florida State hits Scott Stadium. That line holding steady right now at 6.5. Remember, on Monday, Florida State was a 7.5-point favorite. It's 6.5 right now. So the betting public sees a real close ball game here, folks. You got the Seminoles, a top 10 team in the nation, against an upstart UVA team that's got one of the most prolific offenses in not just the country, not just the conference, but the country, folks. This is as significant a football game we've seen in Scott Stadium, and goodness gracious, a generation? Maybe more? We'll talk about that on today's program. We'll highlight your comments on today's program. We love to welcome new partner, Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes, to the show, Judah. Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes, this is a talented firm. Custom hardscapes, outdoor living spaces. Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes offers custom design to fit any landscape and purpose. No matter how complex your hardscape installation may be, Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes can deliver a beautiful, custom, outdoor living space for you to enjoy. Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes has a beautiful office on the downtown mall in the former Wells Fargo building at storefront level in downtown Charlottesville. We helped them find that office space. And this company, Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes, is going to penetrate this Charlottesville and Albemarle County and Central Virginia market with talented, trustworthy craftsmanship. Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes. Judah Wickower, studio camera, please. My friend, I would love to weave you in on a two-shot, and I can't say how much I enjoy sitting next to you. We don't always agree. We often disagree. I love to verbally spar. Sometimes I don't think you do, but I certainly do. But when it's all said and done, we talk about a community we love. And every day, we talk content for this show. Your valued and trusted opinion. You heard it this morning with the folks that were in our studio. Which storyline today most intrigues you and why?
I guess I'd got to go with the decline in commercial tax in Albemarle. That's pretty stark, 15% to 11% in the last 10 years, and as you mentioned, we've got a increasing population, so it's curious that we're more people, less commercial going on. That could be a problem. I mean, as we've been talking about recently, Charlottesville is looking to potentially raise taxes yet again. And could we see the same thing coming from Albemarle County soon?
I had a conversation via this show and the network with Don Gathers, a noteworthy activist in Charlottesville.
Been on our show a few times.
Don Gathers has joined us on the I Love CVille show in the past twice. Don Gathers, in the comment section of this show on Tuesday, and he spoke against the houseless and homeless ordinance that was recently presented before City Council. And I'm paraphrasing his words, but I think Don Gathers would agree with what I have to say. He called the homeless ordinance that Chief Koch presented to council on behalf of council. Council asked him to do this. Mm-hmm. He called that homeless ordinance deplorable, disgusting, downright demoralizing to human well-being. I'm paraphrasing Don's words a little bit. And Don said that this city council in the comment section was nothing like the city council led by Nakia Walker, who goodness gracious, took Charlottesville to a deep, dark place. Nakia Walker did. A deep, dark place, her leadership. He said it's nothing like it. And to a certain extent, I agree with Don Gathers, the activist, that it's not the headline capturing leadership, where Nakia Walker used rape allegory poetry for her comparison of the city, where constantly there was beefs and brouhahas in council chambers, where she was linked to credit card payments on a city credit card, compensating speakers who spoke before council in the public portion. She was linked to that. It may not be the headline capturing of the Nakia Walker era, but it's certainly one that has offered questionable leadership tendency. And I've let you know on this platform that you should expect your real estate taxes in the city to uptick. We've based that on sales tax collections being down, meals tax collections being down, values of homes being down. We've based that on tourism traffic down. A number of key performance indicators suggest the city, if it wants to operate under its current budget limitations, or its current budgetary levels, is going to have to raise taxes somewhere. And we know the city likes to spend more. So I respectfully push back on Mr. Gathers and said, I agree with you, while it's not the headline capturing like the Nakia Walker era, it's certainly one that has commonalities with leadership and policy decision-making and leaving the city in a questionable position. and I look at what's happening in Albemarle County, and I'm going to weave you in. I know you want to make a point. I'm going to weave you in here. In Albemarle County, over a 10-year period, the commercial base, according to the Albemarle County executive, Jeff Richardson, has fallen from 11% in 2015, Judah. No, 15% in 2015 to 11% in 2025. The commercial base has dropped 4 points in a 10-year period of time. Jeff Richardson said, when we look at our peer jurisdictions in the Commonwealth of Virginia, you'd like to see an 80-20 split. 20% of the tax base tied to the commercial sector, 80% of the tax base tied to the residential sector.
Yeah.
Taxes on rooftops, the homes we own, right? Albemarle County's got 89% of the tax base that funds the yearly budget tied to the homes we own. And goodness gracious, if you're leasing a home, if you're a tenant, you're paying the taxes, folks. Don't think just because you're paying monthly rent instead of a monthly mortgage that this doesn't impact you. I'm a landlord, 24 doors in our portfolio. Taxes paid by tenants, passed down to tenants. 5% escalator, triple net lease, whatever you want to call it. Tenants are paying the taxes. So in Albemarle County, our tax base is split with 89% on homes, on rooftops, residential rooftops, 11% in the commercial corridor. Peer jurisdictions, comparables, comps in the Commonwealth suggest that split should be 80-20 for a healthy budget. 10 years ago, Albemarle County, that split was what? 85-15 residential to commercial. So it's worsened, which means you and I have less money in our pockets because it's being taken from us by the jurisdiction where we live. I want to ask you, the viewer and listener, this question, and I think it's a reasonable question. I think it's content and conversation for your cocktail and charcuterie party this weekend. If the population, Judah, if the population has upticked from 2015, when Albemarle County had 105,000 people living within the county, to 117,000 people, an uptick of 12,000 people in 2024, 12,000 additional people in over a 9-year period. But the commercial base, according to the county executive, is down from 15% in 2015 to 11% in 2025. Make that math. Make it make sense. Is that math not mathin', or is that math mathin' for you?
I mean, I don't know if it's about the math making sense so much as it about an increasing population. And I mean, for how long did we have, there were no businesses or almost no businesses in the Fashion Square Mall. For years, the Rio Shopping Center, where Outback Steakhouse currently resides, that's a lot of that has been empty. So if you're not doing anything to promote business growth in your county, then this is what happens. You end up going from an already low 15% commercial tax burden to 11%, which means that the word burden means the burden is actually on us, increasingly.
Viewers and listeners, your thoughts. John Blair, I'm going to get to your comments in a matter of moments. Conan Owen, I'll get to your comments in a matter of moments. Deep Throat, I'm going to get to your comments in a matter of moments. Print, radio, and television that's watching this program, you should do a deep dive on this. You should pick up the phone and call the county executive, Jeff Richardson, about this. Viewers and listeners, Fred Missel works for the UVA Foundation. Scott Smith, a retired businessman, they're running in the Samuel Miller District for the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors empty seat. Jim Andrews is retiring, not going to run again. Missel UVA Foundation is an institution. He's a heavy favorite. He's a Democrat. Scott Smith, new to the area, a COVID transplant. He's a Republican. The separation point between the Democrat Missel and the Republican Smith is this. It's this, folks. You throw in a little data science in there, maybe a little land use, and you have the entree that is the difference between Missile and Smith. So this is going to determine an election on a Democrat-heavy board. I'm going to ask some questions, then I'll open it up to discussion for the viewer and listener to shape the show. How much is the commercial tax base storyline? The drop from 11% of the commercial tax base, 15% of the commercial tax base in 2015 to 11% in 2025. How much is that the collateral damage of COVID and the pandemic? How much the federal government demanding us, ordering us, handcuffing us to be recluses in our house, to basically have agoraphobia and not leave our house. Overstep, federal government, overreach. How much is that tied to the commercial base shrinking? How much of the commercial base shrinking is tied to innovation, technology, artificial intelligence, and this ubiquitous, robust world we live in where screens and ChatGPT and artificial intelligence are now shaping the professional landscape, where businesses now don't have to be tied to a physical address or hang their shingle at a precise location, their business license at a precise location, because we're now digital nomads that are able to work remotely from our phones with ChatGPT to do whatever we want, work wherever we want, anytime we want, and drive revenue. And how much is Albemarle County missing because of this digital nomadic ecosystem we find ourselves living and breathing and existing within? Goodness gracious, Judah and I were talking about before the show, Major League Baseball. Is it the year 2027?
Yep.
In the year 2027, Major League Baseball is going to use robots and artificial intelligence to call balls and strikes behind home plate.
I mean,
Major League Baseball. I'm working on a real estate deal with someone I respect tremendously right now. Gone from a professional relationship to, I would say, a friendship. I think he would say the same. And we're spitballing on some branding and logo elements that we're considering. And goodness gracious, he was turning around some mock-ups for this branding and logo strategy for some office space. And he was using ChatGPT on the logos, turning around immediately, within moments. Within seconds. This is the work Judah does.
You know, it's funny you're talking
The mock-up that we're utilizing is a mock-up created by artificial intelligence that created a mock-up, said this is the font size. Oh, Judah,
It didn't give you a font.
We
It
are-
didn't give you a font.
we are in the first inning of this.
You know,
The
it's-
first inning of it.
You know, it's funny that you tout a lot of this, but you don't really understand the underlying.
Oh, please make your point here.
Well,
I'm very excited to respond and counter your point.
okay. What a lot of people don't understand is that it is a tool. ChatGPT, all of these AI large language models, they're tools. If you don't understand that it's a tool, you're going to destroy your company.
Okay, that's the point you make constantly on the show. We're doing some signage with Conan Owen of Sir Speedy of Central Virginia. He's watching the program. Any signage you need, let's let the viewers and listeners know. Conan Owen, Sir Speedy of Central Virginia, locally owned and operated. Conan Owen is a Darden School graduate. Does the signage for us, doing the signage for us here in the Macklin building, are 24 doors. We're working with him in this secondary position that we're looking to expand within on the downtown mall. He's creating signage for this office model that we're building. Okay, we're very excited about bringing potentially a new food and beverage business to downtown Charlottesville. I got a second showing for that opportunity today at 1:30. I got to be off air at 1:30 because the owners are going to come through that door. Hold me to 1:30. I got about 32 minutes to help them bring a second point of sale to market. Okay, Conan, when doing the changes to just our studio, is able to take photos And that photography he takes of the storefront of our studio, he pumps into artificial intelligence. And that one photo is able to tell him the font, the size of the font, and what he needs to do to change any branding element we have on this glass and to keep it uniform with what's going to exist. The changes he's going to make, it's not going to be a complete revitalization of our branding. Minor changes. But he'll be able to match up those minor changes with what we have by using the tool, you say, right? It's a tool. I'm helping a resale client, a client that's in the resale business, right? This client, I think, has got a pretty good business model. They're doing top-line revenue north of $700,000 a year. And their business model is extremely straightforward. They go and find goods, inventory, product at yard sales, at thrift stores, at estate sales, you name it, and then they resell them online. They don't even have a storefront. We're helping optimize this business model for them. They're even thinking about finding investors to help them scale. Their profit margin is obscene. This retail business, the owner-operator, it's one person and a second person. The owner's paying himself north of $300,000 a year, selling afterthought merchandise that he buys for nickels on the dollar and then sells it for multiple dollars through an online website. He's come to me asking for help to help him scale. We're charging a consulting fee to do this. He uses his phone, artificial intelligence, to take a picture of what he thinks is valuable. He takes a picture of an item that can be 20 years old, 15 years old, can be weathered, can be cracked, can have water damage, can be in pristine condition, terrible condition. And he takes the photo with his artificial intelligence. And that photo that he takes then gives him a list of the last 50 sales tied to the product type, by model number, by SKU number, by brand, where they were sold, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, any platform they were sold upon, and then it's able to say this is what you should price it at based on the condition it is. And he utilizes this artificial intelligence to build a reselling business. Now, Judah's point is correct. We're at the first inning, pun intended, of artificial intelligence. But goodness gracious, in 2027, which puts us in the third inning, pun intended, Major League Baseball is going to have artificial intelligence calling balls and strikes. In the year 2027, there's going to be artificial intelligence standing behind a catcher and baseball stadiums all over the world, all over the country. And this catcher is going to be able to determine if a 102-mile-an-hour fastball is between shoulder height or knee height in a strike zone instantaneously. In an industry that is not millions, hundreds of millions, but multi-billions in revenue each year. Are we in the first inning of artificial intelligence? Yes. Is the technology innovating to the point it's replacing humans? Absolutely. We just gave you an example. Umpires, Major League Baseball, artificial intelligence, no human error. If Major League Baseball is considering that, if the Golden Arches is considering that with cashiers and kiosks, how's that going to impact the creatives of the world? How's it going to impact the middle management of the world? And what's the impact it has on Albemarle County and its commercial tax base? Comments coming in quickly. And if you'd like to make a point, please do. You and I disagreed tremendously on the AI.
Yeah.
Tremendously. And I see your stance, because you have to have your stance, because your stance is the value proposition of what you provide professionally.
No. I mean, so you're saying my stance is based on not wanting to lose my job?
Your stance is based on the val prop of what you do professionally, yes.
That's because you don't listen.
Go ahead. We're listening to learn.
Well, you haven't been. But look, when you pass off in this case, Meta AI, it is a wonderful tool. It helps you find a mock-up that you really like. The problem is it did not give you a font. In fact, there were no fonts involved. All it's doing is creating the approximation of fonts that it's seen. So in order to make that mock-up usable, someone like myself has to go and actively look for a similar font and then actually convert that image, that mock-up that Meta AI gave you, and actually put it into a high-resolution logo that can be used not just sending across email or text, but actually used on the side of a building, the side of a vehicle.
Called vector art.
Yeah,
It's called vector art. We know print quality artwork, high resolution enough that someone like Conan Owen can bring it to market for signage on an advertising agency. How long would it have taken us to come up with the mock-up that we ended up settling as the signage for the company?
Right.
How long would it have taken us?
Depends on how long it took you to be happy. Generally, a day or two.
Okay, so what would have been a day or two in human capital and manpower?
For those listening, that's not a full day or two of actual work.
Oh,
but
trust me, I've been doing this for 20 years. You've been working here for 15 years. I'm very well aware of how long the logo mock-up process takes. That's the hard part of creating the logo. Yeah. Once the mock-up has been selected, the vector art and executing the mock-up and bringing it to market is the easy-peasy part. Why we're paid $2.95 an hour is to find a mock-up and make it a final product, right? That's the whole reason we're paid a consulting fee. We had a 2-day process. Okay, you always think it's less. I always think it's more. Sometimes I think it's less. Sometimes you think it's more. It's the song and dance between the employer and the employee. It's always going to be somewhere in the middle. Regardless, we did something in 3 minutes that otherwise would have taken us at least 10 plus hours of manpower, if not more. Because it's not just you and the team, it's also me directing the pace and tempo of where we're going. Those are facts that no one can argue with. And that's in the first inning of AI. The literal first inning of what we're in. The kiosk at the Golden Arches at the base of Pantops on Freebridge was the first inning. Major League Baseball 2027, the umpire that's a robot and AI behind the plate, maybe you call that the third inning.
So you're looking forward to the third inning?
No. I'm not looking forward to any of this. I'm saying part of the reason the tax base has shrunk in Albemarle County is the collateral damage of COVID, the fact that we were told to stay at home, so that changed human behavior and shopping and dining patterns, which shrunk the commercial base, that debilitated, if not crippled, retail storefronts, Fashion Square Mall, Seminole Square, Albemarle Square, Rio Hill, perfect examples on the Route 29 corridor, damn near devastated because of the pandemic and shoppers choosing to order online from big box retailers, Target, Walmart, and Amazon, and not patronize brick and mortar in person. One of the reasons we've seen, is it Seminole Square or Albemarle Square, turning into an experiential destination with CVille Smash, with Dr. Halpert's Coco's Adventure Central, with Brent Lillard's Jiu-Jitsu Studio. Otherwise, those were retail spots. Then we saw technology boom during that period of time, and we saw consumer behavior never return to what it was before COVID. This is all collateral damage pandemic. And now the county is saying, we can't make up this tax base. Comics coming in. How about number one in the family, Deep Throat? He's a data guy. He's a stats guy. Spends more time on data than anyone I know. A-plus guy. He says this. To the tax point, one thing you may want to consider, and it's a guess. He's saying this is a guess, is perhaps the residential property values have gone up so sharply in the periods of 2021 to 2024 that the commercial taxes could not keep up with the spike in residential values. He says both residential and commercial went up. It's just that residential went up much faster, which has potentially created that delta or that deficiency in tax burden collection with commercial tied to residential. He says, however, I haven't seen the underlying numbers. I'm shooting from the hip here. Part of it's that. He's basically saying, good God, people want to live here. And because they want to live here, they made Albemarle County real estate go bananas. You saw what, we talk about what we did with the Glenmore home. 2020 versus 2023. Or 2020 March purchase versus 2024 June exit. 700 versus 1.2. Everybody saw a 40, 50, 60% uptick from beginning or pre-COVID to post-COVID. Now, the real estate market is softening, ladies and gentlemen. I had this conversation. My wife and I are talking about this left and right. It is softening right now. And is it softening because we're in a flat trajectory, potentially a downward trajectory, or is it softening because buyers who are on the sidelines are waiting till the first and second quarter of next year to jump back into the swimming pool because they're expecting even more rate cuts ahead? Is that why it's softening? A patience game? Or is it softening because we may be in a market of a flat or declining prices? I think it's buyers are being patient to see what the interest rate environment it looks like in the first quarter or the second quarter next year. That's my take. John Blair, this guy knows the game. This guy knows Albemarle County, the city of Charlottesville and Central Virginia, like, Judah, fill in the blank. Like what?
Like the Pope knows prayer?
Man, that's my simile. The Pope knows holy water. I say it all the time. You got to come up with your own there. Like Judah knows denim. Like Jerry knows Roback. Like our son knows maniac behavior. Like my wife knows yoga. Like downtown Charlottesville knows the homeless. Like Citizen Burger Bar knows burgers. John Blair says, I think the relevant question is this. Can you find a locality comparable to Albemarle County in which residential composes less than 25% of local tax revenue? How about less than 20%? How much of Albemarle's decline from 15% to 11% is subtraction from the commercial industrial sector versus a quicker appreciation in residential assessments? That's what Deep Throat's saying.
Yeah.
The two best comparables for Albemarle are Rockingham and Montgomery counties. They have major state universities. They have a high quality of life like Albemarle. They have similar land use policies. What are their numbers showing in terms of residential versus commercial and industrial? I don't have those numbers, John. I'd love to have those numbers. He also says this, I'm curious because there are only two peer jurisdictions in Albemarle and Virginia, Rockingham and Montgomery. It's absurd to compare Albemarle to places like Roanoke or Hanover County. Those places don't have the same demographic, wealth levels, land use policies, etc. Make sure you're rotating lower thirds on screen as well, if you can, please. Curtis Shaver. To Judah's point, and Judah has an H, my friend Curtis Shaver. Discraft, a major disc golf manufacturer, just got in hot water for releasing a disc stamp that was AI generated. The person on the stamp had extra fingers and no one checked it. James Watson, watching the program, UVA graduate. He says, I think we can all agree we've seen retail and restaurant sectors tend to sputter in Charlottesville in the last decade, but I am hopeful that all these biotech jobs will provide more potential consumers to make new businesses more prosperous. I've learned over the years in Charlottesville that you can't depend on students to really keep a business vibrant for the most part, but you have to have working adults that have consistent income, so hopefully the biotech and some other investments in the region will turn the tide. James Watson also said, Judah, wait until they install artificial intelligence robots to determine whether or not a running back has made a first down in football. Coden Owen says, his photo on screen, the tax loss based on the empty balls, Albemarle Square, Seminole Square, Rio Hill, even Holly Mead has lots of vacancies. Goodness gracious, how long did Fashion Square Mall sit empty? How about the vacancies in Stonefield? Has the Travinia space been filled yet? At one time, Travinia was spending nearly $30,000 a month to rent the sexiest restaurant maybe in Albemarle County next to the movie theater with the outdoor fire pits and the huge dining room and the sexy indoor-outdoor bar. Nearly $30,000 a month. Travinia, Judah, still vacant. Still vacant. Who's been to Emmy Squared Pizza in Barracks Road Shopping Center? Anyone? My brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, for my birthday this past August, got us I think it was $100 gift card to Emmy Squared. My wife and I went to Emmy Squared Pizza. We got a pepperoni pizza, a cheeseburger, and 2 beers. A pepperoni pizza, cheeseburger, and 2 beers. What do you think the bill was, Judah Wickower?
1 pizza, 1 burger, and 2 beers.
She got a beer, I got a beer. We got a pepperoni pizza and a cheeseburger. Our boys, our almost 3-year-old and our 7-year-old got glasses of water. They ate the cheeseburger. My wife and I had a little bit, they ate the pizza. Our boys ate the pizza. My wife and I split the cheeseburger and had a small slice of pizza. What do you think the bill was for Emmy Squared and Barracks Road Shopping Center?
I'd guess $45 before tax.
After tax and tip, the bill was $100. Tax and tip, the bill was $100. You're talking an $8 beer, 8 plus 8, 16 in beers. You're talking a $23 burger.
$23 burger?
$23 burger is the norm.
No, it's not.
Citizen Burger Bar right next to us is $23 for a burger.
I got to look this up.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I can find it right now. Citizen Burger Bar. Probably what? The #1 top-line revenue restaurant in downtown Charlottesville is Citizen? Citizen Burger Bar. Let's see what it is. I'm on the menu page. Click for our menu. I'm on the menu page right now. I'm going to go to Citizen as it loads. Citizen Burger is, you have the executive, which is 28. You have the steakhouse, which is 18. You have the Southern, which is 18, a 17 and a 16. So your entry point, the American Classic, is a $16 burger, all the way to a $28 burger.
The executive is not a normal burger, though.
The entry point on the burger is 16. 16 to 18 with one $28 burger. At a business district in downtown Charlottesville where the rents are half of what the rents are at Barracks Road Shopping Center, which is owned by publicly traded Federal Realty. Highest rent structure, Barracks Road Shopping Center. Downtown Mall, half the rent of what Barracks Road Shopping Center is. A pizza, 2 beers, and a burger. Tax and tip, $100. $100. Insane. How was that gift card sent to us? We didn't have to go in to get the gift card. We didn't have to speak to anyone to get the gift card. That gift card was sent to us through some kind of AI and a text message to my phone. Vanessa Parkhill, that Travinia space is still vacant. Yes, ma'am, it is. Of Earlysville. At Janice Boyce Trevelyan, I have seen the Will Smith movies. She says no good could come from the artificial intelligence. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Will Smith movies?
She's talking about when the technology takes over the world. Conan Owen, Sir Speedy, he says, I'm feeling it. Business is booming. Yes, business is closed, but I'm seeing lots of growth and expansion, and new businesses all the time in CVille should be better than the national average, which means tax revenue should be higher. The region needs to take a deep look into why they are lagging. The interesting thing about Sir Speedy is Sir Speedy, with closings of businesses, that's actually a tailwind for their business. When businesses locally close, Sir Speedy gets business because they have to redo signage and branding, stickers and lanyards, name tags and uniforms, menus and trifolds, direct mail, merch. Albert Gray's watching the program, his photo on screen, Judah. Actually, Major League Baseball will implement a ball strike challenge system starting in 2026, with each team getting 2 challenges per game. Not every ball and strike will be called by AI. That will still be done by the umpire. The AI will call ball and strike in the event of a challenge coming from the catcher. Read what you mentioned, Judah, in 2027 with the artificial intelligence. Read what you brought up to us in 2027 with the artificial intelligence.
You're talking
And
about
Major League Baseball.
let's see. You've got the. Hold on. Let me find the article. Robot umpires coming to Major League Baseball with ABS challenge system, already approved for 2026. Major League Baseball, which has ventured out of its comfort zone the past few years, implementing pitch clocks, ghost runners, enlarged bases, and a universal designated hitter, now is taking the next huge step in the world of modern technology. MLB is adopting an automated strike zone challenge system that will go into effect for the 2026 season.
Deep Throat, I was equally astonished with how expensive Emmy Squared Pizza was. And the pizza was phenomenal, but it was extremely small. Extremely small. It is literally up to us to support locally owned and operated businesses if we want to see them survive. And one that I absolutely love is Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, Judah. 61 consecutive years in business, online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. Andrew and John Vermillion are honest, communicative, trustworthy men of integrity. If you need a vacuum repaired, they have a mechanic on site. If you need a pool cleaning robot repaired, they have a mechanic on site. If your pool is murky in color, the chlorine, the water needs to be tested, they have water technicians on site. Anything sanitary related, they are the place you call. Free delivery in the market and an e-commerce store at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. These guys are the best. The absolute, absolute best. And we talk about the population upticking, and print, radio, and television that's watching this program. You should be covering these storylines. Take the content we're covering right now, print, radio, and television. And you don't even need to credit us. You don't when you write about it, but just get it out to the public, because we deserve to know these storylines. This comes in via Facebook message. Please keep my name out of this. This is a manipulated stat when you think about it. Of course, the prorated percentage of business commercial will drop when real estate has more than doubled in the last 9-year stretch. This is a reference to Deep Throat as well. Plus, as you often point out, the newcomers are wealthy and don't spend all our funds in the local economy when most of us are traveling a lot. A new household, 100% of real estate tax stays here, but not 100% of business tax stays here. I think this isn't really a headline. The main question is how the aggregate tax revenue is being spent.
Mm-hmm.
Eli Lilly, that headline on screen, $5 billion in Goochland County, 650 new jobs to the area. AstraZeneca, also billions of dollars spent in Albemarle County. We'll know the exact number soon. Hundreds of new jobs created. With Eli Lilly and AstraZeneca, you're probably looking at somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 new jobs created. Those 1,000 and 2,000 new jobs created by AstraZeneca and Eli Lilly alone, most of those transplants to the area. Work the studio camera in if you can so they can see some fantastic branding on screen. That 1,000 to 2,000 new jobs, these are new to the area folks that do not have the same ties to our community. I've been here 25 years. How long you been here, Judah?
On and off, not too different from that, around 25.
25 years I've been here. The commitment to local, goodness gracious, it's what we stand for. Is that same commitment going to be present with 2,000 incremental people, all, well-paid jobs, most of them at well-paid jobs? Only time will tell. Or are those transplants to the area have the shopping and human behavior tied to doorstop delivery and Fortune 50 companies? Only time will tell. And I'll close with this because I got a client coming in T-minus 4.5 minutes. And I want to roll out the red carpet for her. Friday night, tomorrow night, on national television, a top 10 football team hits Scott Stadium. And they arrive in Charlottesville as a 6.5-point favorite according to Las Vegas. This Virginia football team is playing its most significant football contest in probably a generation. Yes, I know they played for an ACC championship, and yes, I know they played in the Orange Bowl. No one expected Virginia to beat Clemson in the ACC championship, and no one expected Virginia to beat Florida in the Orange Bowl. And neither of those two games were at Scott Stadium. This is the most significant football game that Virginia football has played in probably a generation. If this football team shocks the nation tomorrow night, and it's a huge if, I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's a huge if. You have injury at offensive line. You have question marks on defense. But if they shock the nation, ladies and gentlemen, you are talking a storyline that will command national attention, a storyline that will drive economic vitality, a storyline that will drive butts in the seats at Scott Stadium for the remaining home football games, which would further drive economic vitality, a storyline that's going to drive socioeconomic change. People fall in love with Charlottesville through any University of Virginia offshoot or vertical. Get ready and giddy up. On tomorrow at 10:15 a.m., Keith Smith's in the house for Real Talk with Keith Smith. Then we close the program and the week down with the I Love CVille show at 12:30. There's no other platform that's giving you this. Thank you for joining us. Judah Wickower, yours truly, Jerry Miller.